There he is.
And we're on air. Okay, good morning or good afternoon, everybody who are watching. This is another session of Virtual Connecting. My name is Maha Abdelmonem. I'm coming to you from Cairo, Egypt, and I'm your host with my co-virtual buddy, Alan Levine. This time we're coming to you to connect to OAD16, which is the Open Education Berlin Conference for 2016. On site, we have our virtual buddy leader, or on-site leader, Christian. So I'll pass it on to him. He'll introduce himself, and his guests also can introduce themselves, and then we'll take it back to our virtual participants. So go ahead, Christian.
Well, hi from Berlin. My name is Christian. I am with Lafana Digital School and the Hamburg University of Technology, and it's actually my first time as on-site buddy for Virtually Connected. So great premiere. We have 3 guests with us here, and I think we should just start with introducing ourselves. I think Alek dropped in a little bit too late to get your explanation of what this actually is. So
I'll figure it out.
It's basically a hallway conversation, no specific agenda or anything like that, just during the conference and so far, and just have a chat about that.
Okay.
Would you want to start? Introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Alek. I have several hats. In Poland, my hat is Centrum Cyfrowe, my own organization where we do a lot of policy work on open education, also open heritage, and related issues like digital skills are of interest to us as well. In Europe, I work with Komunia, the Association for the Digital Public Domain, and globally, I'm with Creative Commons. I run the Polish chapter. And I should also note, I don't just work on open education, I'm very interested also in copyright reform for education, which is something new that I've been doing this year, and I'm excited.
Thanks.
I'm Luca Morini. I'm a researcher in the Coventry University's Disruptive Media Learning Lab. I'm sorry, I haven't had lunch, so it's a bit late, but still. I do research in education, so especially I'm interested in critical pedagogy and do-it-yourself game design practices, so that people can learn how to make their own games and not get played by others. And I think that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And here's...
Hello, I'm new to this as well. I'm Sylvester. I'm a reader in game science, and I'm working with Luca at the Disruptive Media Learning Lab. So we are working on internal projects which are funded by the university in terms of trying to change the way we teach and learn, and try to ensure that we create a space that will allow staff and students to work together. And creating games is one of the activities that we do in terms of trying to create this space for them. And we are also working on projects which are funded by external funding bodies like the EU Commission, the Higher Education Federation of England, as well as the RCUK in the UK. And we are working with different partners across Europe as well as internationally.
Thank you very much. So for the virtual participants, let's start with Alan.
Oh, you called on me, Maha?
Yes.
I'm Alan Levine. I'm never serious, but I'm coming to you from a little town called Strawberry in the Southwest USA. And what the heck am I? I'm an independent consultant, about 20 years in higher ed. And, it's too early to say what I do. Right now, my big project is working with Creative Commons. So I'm working with Alex's colleague, Camille, on a project to develop a certification in Creative Commons. And I also dabble in a lot of online teaching and making goofy pictures.
Helen?
Hi, I'm Helen DeWard. I work at a university in Central Ontario in Canada, and I work with teachers, faculty of education, digital media, critical pedagogy, and my interest is around digital storytelling.
but I'm very interested in the gaming aspect because we integrate some of that into the lessons that I do with the teacher candidates. So good morning.
Good morning too. Thank you. Marcus?
Hello, everybody. I'm coming to you from Germany, but not live from the conference. I'm here in the beautiful city of Lübeck. It's north of Hamburg. I work at the University of Applied Science in Institute of Learning Services, and my interest is in open education and educational philosophy.
Patrice?
I'm Russ, and I'm an instructional designer at Cornell University. I primarily work with faculty who are designing and developing MOOCs and online courses, and most of my research is around looking at ways to help women engage and persist in STEM, and specifically how we can use open resources to increase access to STEM education for women across the globe.
Why are you in a plastic bubble, Patrice?
Because it's very cold in Ithaca, New York this time of year, and so I have plastic over my windows to keep the cold. My very old house that does not have good insulation.
That works.
Okay, so to start with, if anybody has any burning questions, any curious questions?
Just a correction. Also came from someone of the bodies. This is online educability, not open educability, and it shows. I can say, but let's not get straight into that.
Yeah, I mean, these three who are sitting here right next to me, I think have all skipped lunch to be with us today, and just came right out of their own sessions. So. I think one, as Sylvester said, is about gaming and then game design. And you were in a session about
sustainability of OER production.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that was the subject in the end.
No,
like, let's talk about MOOCs.
Okay.
Which is a bit different, let's face it. Related, but different. Just a little. Well, they overlap. There's a Venn diagram there.
Okay.
So I came across a blog post that said that the MOOC is dead.
Dying.
It didn't feel that way.
Yeah. It's like the thing is, people are still using it, but I think it's the interest is dying down. But there are users out there who are proper, strict, staunch MOOC users. Which I think we should not, I think we should encourage them to do and use it if they think that it's useful for them. So it's fine for, I think in most cases, MOOCs are not actually working in terms of the retention and the dropout rates and whatnot.
I think many universities get into the MOOC role because they think, okay, we can just put some materials there and then people will pay us. But actually, it's lots of money that you have to sink in doing a good MOOC, and then just drop out and you get nothing. But even our university they are thinking of some partnerships, but we warn them that it's not as easy as they might think.
Yeah.
I think it's the hype, all the media hype that's kind of died, Helen, and more now people are probably figuring out the more practical aspects of it. Curious, in Europe, are there major providers? Are you using the US, the edX, the Coursera's, or are you doing something different?
There's one in the UK which is called Future Learn. So I think that is the only one in the UK.
I think yes, it's interesting because it's supposed to be, the courses are supposed to be very research-based, so at least there's something new that comes from them. It's not just repeating same old stories, same old skills, but still retention is similar to other.
So for instance, I don't think I'm in a position to give an overview of what goes on in Europe, but I found two stories at the session I attended quite interesting. So which showed that there's like, I also thought that there's basically that the hype died down a bit and the results are not there, and the business model is not there. But first, there was a man from Israel who said that there's a program called Digital Israel now, which basically funds universities to one by one set up courses, I think on Coursera. There was one story. The other was similar, but even more developed from Russia, where it needs to be taken into account that I think the man presenting has like an interest in having this work because they're the university that tries to champion it. But he was saying that they're the first Russian university to have a specialization on Coursera in machine learning. It's in Russian, it's doing very well, and that there's a program to really by 2020, I don't remember, he gave some numbers, have a lot more universities there. And on top of that, they have, which I also found interesting, a sense that there's something kind of wrong by sort of siphoning the Russian, students into a completely American digital environment. So they're saying they're building their own platform. What I also found interesting, and I didn't know that, is that people actually seem to pay for these courses, and you can even make money from referrals. And they seem to be basing a kind of a business model to support their public institutions by trying to be the ones that refer, in a really weird model where they're saying they basically want to set up pools of open content, kind of like open courseware, but attached to it incentives to start studying on Coursera. So when you think about it, it gets kind of really weird. Maybe I'll stop there.
So, universities doing advertisement.
I guess so. They're saying like, look at our free content, but even better, do a course at Harvard, but we'll get $10. I mean, what? It's legal.
So are they
Legal, yeah.
are they trying to create interest because it's Harvard, like that has extra value, or
It's a branding.
Some do, I think, and some by design offer their own courses. So we have been guilty of that as well. Although we've at Leuphana we haven't really followed the traditional XMOOC model, but still we try to like take connected learning into a distributed course. At the beginning, at least, I don't think I'm that interested in doing another one of those. But it was a learning curve, and I think what goes for lots of European agencies, but also universities, is that they feel that they have something to offer in terms of maybe even sustainability. I mean, that might be very self-perceived kind of image, but I think lots of them really see themselves as public educators and a MOOC as one format, so to speak, to distribute and to deliver courses. If that is really your understanding of teaching and learning, then you are able to fulfill to a certain extent, I think. And I mean, the session you were in, I think there was one from somebody from the French platform provider. There are these national, especially in France and Spain, I think, national platforms that are being fostered on a national level, just to be different and to have own agency over course and content and all that, and not to work with Coursera, right?
Okay, so no, we had the session was organized by the French ministry, but they weren't the MOOC people. They were the sort of vanilla flavor open resources. But so maybe it's an interesting story to tell. So the reason this workshop happened is that there's a lady at the French Ministry of Higher Education who I think is really cool. She's called Clarine de Coët-Lojon, which and only a French person can have such an interesting name. But basically, she's saying that they have a pretty big pile of resources. They say 30,000. It seems like it's not 30,000 like units, like the bigger things, like not small items, but kind of maybe something bigger like courses or something. So quite a lot. And their problem is that they feel they should be able to offer creators of this content money. And their idea is that they want to create a model where companies will pay a subscription rate to something they call Netflix for education. It clearly doesn't work for the open model, but when she says she's about sustainability, money, she really feels sustainability is about money. And you can argue with that, but she buys also the fact that it's about community or that. She's not dumb. But her focus, she really believes she needs to put money into this system for different reasons, because maybe she notices that the higher education system is not that well funded. Then, you know, people in that room who are into open weren't that smart with providing her with a solution. It's a work in progress, I guess, finding that solution. There was also one very interesting, for me, man, I don't know, maybe you know him, called Brian Mulligan. Do you know him?
Well,
You guys? Or you guys?
I don't think I've heard of him.
He's from Sligo in Ireland, and he had some EU project where they created what he says is a platform where you can make your own MOOCs, and that's basically his argument, that making content today is easy, and if Salman Khan could do it, anyone could do it. So let's basically, you know, stop saying this is so expensive because it's DIY. I really appreciate this spirit.
Is that project called, because there's a project on MOOCs which is called Emma.
No, it had some longer name. I'll find it.
Because there is another project as well, which is called Emma. So they are trying to encourage computational thinking. So one guy in Italy, he's like the face of block programming type thing, and what he does is he's the face of this MOOC platform, and it's got his video, which is quite interesting actually. And but he combined experience in MOOC with physical experiences as well. So he runs workshops as part of the MOOCs.
Bookshops.
Workshops.
Oh, workshops. Sorry.
So he's got this package of workshop as well as MOOCs at the same time, and he's like the everyone is saying that he's like the George Clooney of computational thinking, and he's one of my good friends.
What's the boundary between do-it-yourself MOOCs and YouTube videos at some point?
I don't think there is. I think his argument, he used also YouTube videos. He said, like, look at YouTube. If people make the videos themselves, people vote by watching. You don't need any aggregators. You don't need any curators. Of course, in the end, you need YouTube, and maybe that's a bit of an issue, but let's say it's not that bad of a platform, right? So he would probably say you're confirming my... He was very, like, really simple stuff.
And you get very sophisticated conversations in the YouTube comments.
I'm only in favor of you.
I'm not serious.
Our university, we are discussing whether to shell out lots of money for lynda.com.
For whom?
Lynda.com, which is a tutorial website owned by LinkedIn.
Lynda.
Lynda.
L-Y-N-D-A, yeah.
Well, the videos are good and very specific quality and subject, very specific skills and subject. But I mean, I think that if we get students to just go on YouTube and look for tutorials, they can find better. And even if it takes some time, they learn about digital literacy and digital networking and other soft skills that are not just JavaScript.
Yeah.
Because I don't want university to just become a funnel to just throw JavaScript in the heads of people, because that's what the market is. If they can have some trouble by looking for JavaScript on YouTube, I'm sure they can meet interesting people in the process.
Are we talking to?
Has there been any discussion of how universities are justifying creating MOOCs? I mean, we get asked a lot. You know, they cost a lot of money to make. You know, what's the return on investment? And is anybody looking at it not just from a profit standpoint, but you know, the impact on people and the planet, and you know, what people who are taking the MOOCs, what are they then going out and doing in the world, and how do we measure that?
I'm not sure. So I'm not trying to self-advertise here, but what we did at Leuphana in 2013, 2014 was we tried to create a model in which people can learn from one another in a connected learning environment while still being awarded credits for that. And we managed to do that. Our retention rate also was a bit better than what you'd usually expect in MOOC. So we had like between 25-30% up to like 90% in advanced training scenarios with that model. But that was not at all economically sustainable. So you'd always have to find partners. It's a project by project thing. And you'd have to find new partners to do those courses with you, because otherwise, as a small provincial university from Lower Saxony, you wouldn't be able to sustain that. And our goal was not to create revenue, but to create connections for our students, but also for learners out there. So a student in Lower Saxony really benefits a lot by being able to work together with somebody from Poland, South Africa, Brazil, and the Philippines. And to be able to provide that learning space or that learning environment in which that happens is really something that you can, as a university, look on and say, this is useful for our students and for others as well. And then it should be open, sustainable, and all that. But we haven't been able to succeed on all dimensions yet, so we're still working on it.
What are the issues with that? Why did you not succeed? So what happened?
I mean, depends on your definition of success,
Okay.
I guess. But, I mean, one of the main issues is budget. So if you want to award credits and you don't want to do quantified certification things and multiple choice questions, you need lots of mentors and tutors, and paying them is just organizing them as well can be really hard. So if you have a course with like, in the last course we had 18,000 people registered and 11,000 of them were active, and if everybody of them would actually expect you to grade their assignments, and there are 6 of them within one course, and that's all qualitative, non-quantitative work, so you have 10 mentors or something like that, and you would want them to be able to do that. There's just no way of scaling that, and
let's make a thought experiment. How many mentors would the university be able to hire if they just threw their learning management system and student surveillance system out the window?
In Lüneburg, not that many more, because we don't have a sophisticated learning management system. So that would be like maybe 4 mentors more.
Well, that's 40% more.
Yeah. Oh no,
I know
that's really for 400 learners.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You can scale like on a 1:100 ratio with that. But I mean, we're probably getting a bit too deep into
I
it.
think it's related anyway.
It is. But if you
Actually,
can't,
if I can jump in here for a second or for a minute, maybe that talks to Patrice's question also, that from the point of view of a student, I've been taking XMOOCs with Coursera and edX and so on. I tried several of them. I passed some of them, but I didn't. Some I dropped out, not because they're not good enough, but because I didn't have the time. But I'm actually excited that in my lifetime, I'm seeing what I was hoping education, open education, to be is coming closer to be a reality. I can take them anytime I want. They keep getting repeated. Whatever I do on one, if I don't continue and I decide to take it later, my work doesn't disappear. I actually carry it with me, and I continue from where I stop. Some of them are starting to give certificates that mean something, not just well, they all mean something, but what I mean is recognized certificate. Some are actually starting to give credit, as far as I understand. So all that is, for a student or for a learner, it's wonderful. It's wonderful because I learn for myself, but unfortunately, when I go somewhere else, they want. I mean, that's not enough. They want something that a certificate to show what I've learned, and so on. I actually have a quick question. We've been online for about 33 minutes now, but if you still have time, I have a quick question to Luca. How you've just finished your session? So how was it? What was the reaction from people who attended it, and so on? What do you think about the experience?
People were very interested, but the people that were experts in gaming and
game-based learning, we're really expecting from us all the answers. Like we set down a precise path so you can get your own learning game pre-made. So just do this, and then your learning game will spring out. But no, we really did want to open this opportunity for the people who barely played any games and who can only remember Monopoly and hide and seek and a few others. So those are the people that we want really to engage with. And personally, I don't think there are answers for game-based learning design or for design in general. It's more of an art. It's not an exact science. You have to get in the mindset and the literacy to kind of make it up as you go. I don't know what you.
Yeah, that's why in the beginning we were saying that we are interested in people to get inspired by games and play and see how they can actually use it to inform strategy and a game plan. So that's why during the workshop we were saying that you are creating a game plan. What is your game plan in terms of trying to engage this group of stakeholders to solve what problem? So by reusing existing mechanics that everyone is familiar with, it will allow you to create a more fun space for someone to get involved in and solve that problem. And I even used simple example of using hide and seek. It's all about strategies. Hide and seek is such a fantastic strategy game for me. You can ask someone, say that you are the person who is going to close your eye and count to 10. While doing that, you have the strategy of where should you go to find the first person. How do you prioritize, this seeking technique that you are going to have, and as well as those who are going to find places to hide, they will have the same sort of mental note. It's like, how do I prioritize the areas where I can sort of like hide that thing? But you can use the same sort of approach and repurpose it in different ways. So you can, one of the topics was culture. How do you encourage people to understand people more? So what we were saying, if you look at hide and seek, you can do the same sort of thing. So you can hide different elements of different cultures in different parts of the building and get people to go and find it. And when they find it, they will have to tweak perhaps what do they think about that object, what does it represent. So that would help them to understand by looking at abstract sort of objects, they can actually create a culture representation around it. So you can repurpose hide and seek and create that sort of higher level games that people can get involved in.
For me, the best thing is that they were actually having fun.
Yeah.
So there were a couple very stereotypically corporate guys. So tie and suit. But they were laughing out loud at the end and drawing snakes and fingers on the those people can start laughing and then they see the value in this. Oh, Helen is here.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Good to see you.
See you too.
Now it's a party.
Hi.
Now we're in.
Hey.
Now the party's here.
I think it is.
So, do you have any materials from your workshop online?
Yeah, the slides will be going up on the conference site probably by the end of today. But other than that, if you go to gamify.org.uk, you can see the open course. But that site will be relaunching in January as a new site with lots of tools, lots of resources,
videos.
We're kind of in the process of creating a lot of short form content through playlists for YouTube, so kind of YouTube channel for teachers, students to kind of use themselves. So, short 1.5, 2 minute videos, but to kind of demystify the game development process. So they'll all be going live in the new year as well. So yeah, loads of resources in the pipeline.
And always Creative Commons.
And always Creative Commons.
It's so beautiful. Finally, I'm excited.
The magic word.
You see the NC.
You know, why I'm asking, Helen.
So
Are playlists?
That's cool.
You playlist the new FAQ files?
Well, they could be.
Sounds like
I
it.
like it. Yeah.
No, but it does sound like it.
That's interesting.
There's one advantage to FAQ files. You can host them without having a YouTube nearby. You know?
The YouTube.
Hosting video yourself is kind of tricky.
So what have you guys been talking about then, everyone?
MOOCs.
Our session.
Yeah.
And scalability and sustainability
Okay.
and what else?
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
What's the kind of what's the ethos? What's the vibe of OEB? Is it a traditional structured conference? Do they do
Exhibition.
It's a large conference, maybe not for someone from the States, but from a European perspective, it is a very large conference, so nearly 2,500 people. It's probably perhaps almost equally split between kind of corporate learning and the kind of education sector, so there's that real mix there as
I
well.
don't think I've ever been to such a corporate conference.
Luke has never been to such a corporate
I'm going
conference.
to go around and pick up some fights.
put a tie on them?
But yeah, it's fantastic. Lots of different types of sessions. Obviously, there's like the huge keynotes, lots of parallel sessions, but then there are also like interactive breakout sessions where you can kind of propose what you want to do. So we've got 3 escape rooms running tomorrow in one of those sessions, for instance. I think there's also a spa session at some point because there's a really nice pool area. So at some point, I don't think I drank this. I'm pretty sure I saw this in the program. You can actually, if you've got your bathing outfit with you, you can go to the spa and talk about learning and technology by the side in the sauna. There's a sauna, yeah. So your ears are pricked up now. Spotlight stage, which is more kind of bite-sized talks. So Josie Fraser, she's doing a couple of those. She's doing one tomorrow, one Friday, and various other people who we know. Yeah, loads of stuff, and a really good party tomorrow night as well.
Isn't it
Tomorrow night, yeah.
Okay.
Which is after Luca has submitted that paper that he needs to submit. So I imagine Luca will be celebrating. Yeah.
No party till you do the paper.
That's it. Yeah, I'm proud to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is the conference conducted all in English?
Mostly.
I think yes.
I think they're like, I found 3 or 4 sessions in German, but then they are usually directed at a very German audience. So it's like some kind of grant that is being given out to only German institutions. Stuff like that is in German. But other than that, it's mostly English, I think. Yeah.
I mean, that's great for me because it's the only language I understand. I was thinking because Mahabali just wrote a post kind of questioning like the move towards more development of OERs in English and kind of speculating, does that have cultural impact or, what does it mean to have English kind of foisted upon the rest of the world?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I can just say, for me, it was really interesting to talk with the man from Russia because I'm from Poland, which is like we border a bit with Russia, but we're kind of close, but there seems to be like some invisible barrier that we don't know too much what's going on there. And it was interesting, and he asked me like, so in Poland, what percentage of students would be able to study in English, for instance, on a MOOC? And he, I think, suggested probably everyone. I think it's around 10%. Like really fluidly do it. And maybe that's slow because of Erasmus now, I'm thinking. Maybe that's better. But it still means there are language barriers. And I think that might be a reason because we talked earlier how, so he was saying Russia is now going into the MOOC discovery phase of their life. maybe that's for linguistic reasons. They just didn't get into the English language phenomenon for language barriers, so they're gonna now test it in the Russian language.
I mean, one thing though, Alan, I mean, Jonathan Worth's phonar, that's kind of notable for the fact that so many participants in that would kind of translate the course into their own language, which was a really lovely model. But I don't know if we've really seen that with other big open courses in the way that happened with phonar. Perhaps that's because it was based around imagery, which immediately takes away that barrier when you're dealing with an image book, and then people feel motivated to translate into their own tongues. But
and it was less about content, and it was more about action and creativity. So I mean, sometimes it gets bogged down because there's a large body of content that people want in different languages.
The XMOOCs actually are doing that, but they're asking for volunteers from the students themselves, whoever is attending, to translate the transcripts of the videos and some of the other material, the reading material. So that was interesting as well.
And how's that going? Is that going well, or?
It looks like it's going well for some languages, but in some cases, I guess they haven't found somebody who can actually translate well in their own languages, because, okay, I speak Arabic, but that doesn't mean that I'm a good translator.
Yeah, it's difficult because you have to be able to translate as well as have deep knowledge of the content, right, to make sure you're doing correct translation. And so we're trying to sort through all that right now. We've had a lot of requests, especially to translate MOOCs into Chinese.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. And for some reason, I think I noticed that some, and I won't be able to remember which ones now, but I noticed that some nationalities are more interested in translating into their own languages than others.
I was thinking that, of course, the dominance of the English language is unfortunate due to some historical tragedies. But at this point, we have this kind of shared common language that allows us to talk with people from all around the world and from all around Europe. We can work together. And I would expect that in maybe some decades, the shared English would drift away from standard actual British or American English and become something like a galactic standard,
Yeah, we were surprised when we first got into MOOCs that one of the highest percentage of reasons that people took the MOOCs was to learn English. Like, it wasn't about the content, it was just about being able to speak scientifically in English so we could, get jobs and participate in discussions like this.
Right. But I mean, I know from a native British English speaker's point of view, we're often kind of aware that our European, friends on mainland Europe often speak better English than we do. Yeah. That's so true.
I can't go my claim that.
Yeah, I think it's true. A lot of people.
Because we were in schools, we were taught the proper
Exactly.
which is not the actual language.
And in school in England, you don't really learn about grammar in the way that you do as someone. So non-native English speakers can tell us so much more about our language than we know. It's.
I studied grammar for 12 years in Italian schools.
See, Luca studied grammar for 12 years.
I don't want to do that.
Oh no, I never said I wanted to.
I don't remember what I learned.
Actually, that makes me think of a question also. I'm curious to know about the attendance in the conference. I mean, who's more represented there, or is there a wider representation of nationalities, countries, and so on? And also corporate versus education.
Yeah, there tends to be really good kind of turnout from Middle Eastern countries. There's strong links with African countries because there is online Africa in May, but So yeah, I mean, it's pretty well attended from obviously Europe, Middle East, and Africa will be the main.
But so for instance, it's worth noting for me in relation to other European events, it's pretty expensive.
Yes.
At 600 euros, so you won't get too many students here.
Yeah.
You won't get too many just like freelancers, I assume.
No.
I think it's a good mix of sort of business, academics, probably some public institutions sending public servants, you know.
Yeah.
But
no, the 600 is already the reduced rate for speakers, right? So I think for just a regular participant, you pay up to like close to 1,000 euros plus taxes.
Wow.
And you're really talking in monthly salaries there.
Yeah. Well,
the conference booklet, I'm sorry, this is like maybe nitpicking, but conference booklet with the abstracts costs like 20 euros.
It does?
Yeah. You'd rather go to a library, books, you get some comic book or something, or a board game.
And about the sessions, compared to, for example, the other conferences, mainly the US conferences and the UK conferences, how is it different? I mean, do you see that it's the focus is different, or the kind of lectures or the sessions, I mean?
Actually tying into the things that were just said with regards kind of native English speakers, etc. I'd say one of the notable things is, as a native English person, for the first time you're like minority in the room, which is nice. You know, I was done a workshop this morning, and I think there weren't. I mean, you're kind of the minority, which is quite unusual. So yeah, that's nice. It's very slick, very well organized, and very slick.
Is it? But is the mode of most presentation, I mean, what's the percentage of PowerPoint per session?
I don't think we know yet. I mean, we're still on the pre-conference day.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it will be PowerPoint heavy. So knowing my German folks, there should be some 12-point Times New Roman PowerPoint. So
that makes me very sad, Christian. Very sad.
Our workshop was like 0 PowerPoints, but we had one of the Etherpad variants, you know.
Yeah.
But they have their little weird rituals as well. You know how always there's, I think Etherpad is used to justify that there is something left.
Yeah.
But usually the quality of the thing left is kind of terrible, you know. Nice colors because many people edited, and it gives you this feeling, collaborative, open, but
that's a good point. Actually, it's kind of that illusion of collaboration, and
it takes more than that.
Yeah. And Alek, perhaps would you like to tell us a little bit about your own session? You have a session, right? You're doing something in the conference. Alek.
Oh, that was the workshop where the discussion on sustainability veered off.
Oh, right.
So and being like Salman Khan.
Oh, really?
But it's like the thought I'm now having at this meeting is very useful for me, by the way, because I don't know if you all heard, I really kind of guessed what this is about, but I, for instance, couldn't figure out who of you will be online and who will be here in real life. So it's like a little game I played. I got it not really right. Maha, I thought you will be here. I also thought Josie Fraser will be here.
She'll be here
confusion. But anyway, it all clicks for me hearing about your session with games that, as I already said, but you weren't here, there were moments where people were like saying, because it wasn't like everyone was praising MOOCs, it's just that it seemed that a lot of people are still invested in them, but quite a few people were making comment, what's the alternative? And someone said that, look at YouTube, there's like, okay, you need the platform's commercial, but otherwise just people make content and people watch content and you see whether it's 10,000 people or 1 million. And there's a high chance you'll pretty quickly find the content you need, and that's pretty amazing. I once learned how to, I think it's called caulking a wooden floor. I had to, and that's interesting about language. I needed to go into English. I found a company doing yachts somewhere in Tennessee or something that had a video about cocking. I was unable to find that in Poland, which is interesting. And I taught my handyman who was doing the floor how to do it properly.
It's called, but you'll know about this. If your wooden floor gets damp, will the cork crack?
No, because it's like.
See, it's not. This is all about learning and technology.
But anyway, sorry, I'm digressing. But basically, the point was, if we made some effort, we could. Why don't maybe it has been done? You could tell me, why don't we frame this whole video mode as such a strong mode that people could buy into? And we have the British experience of TV-based learning as a sort of prehistory. And I would be curious to people make this really strong statement like MOOC, 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 video, video, video.
Yeah.
Has that happened already?
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, in some places. I mean, people have talked about, YouTube as a learning platform and how it's probably the biggest informal learning platform that we have.
I think I think what Alek is describing, there's a colleague, Mike Caulfield, who has this thing, he talks about chorus explanations. So in education, we tend to think there's only one proper way to do caulking, and here's the caulking professional, and everybody has to do it his way. And what Alek is describing is like, you go into YouTube and you sort of shop around and you get there's multiple ways of explaining a concept. And for Alek, it might be the one that's done, in English that works really well. I might want to see the one where the guy actually, shows more of his hands than talks, and Christian might want the girl who wears the bikini who does it. But the idea is that there's multiple ways to learn something, and people sort of have exposure to pick the one that works best for them, instead of one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I learned how to repair the faucets in my shower, and I went on YouTube, and you have to look at 4 or 5 videos, but you find the person who doesn't talk too much, or the person who has the similar equipment as you do. But
or explains one little bit that is not clear the way that you understand it. Yeah.
But the crucial difference is I know what I want to learn. Like I go in there and I have this specific thing that I want to learn. My question though is how do you get people to learn things they don't know they want to learn?
Yeah.
Because you go into YouTube with a specific task mostly. Sometimes you wander around.
Yeah.
See, that's when you hook them with hide and seek.
Or you go exploring the related videos on the side, and all of a sudden you're completely away from caulking, and you're watching cat videos.
Yeah, it's like one of the lecturers I'm working with at university, because we're trying to see how we can change the way they do their assessment and assignments as well. So we've introduced video scribe to them, and the students have to create videos as part of the coursework. And they seem to enjoy it because they like being producers of content, no matter how possibly uninteresting the content is. But we are very much interested in the process, the thought process that they had to put into the whole thing to make sure that they would get the message across. And so I think we need to encourage students to create their own content. Those will be made open, of course, and shared as playlists on YouTube so that people can actually see what has been done in terms of not professional video producers, but from, created by students themselves. And I think we need to show not only the high quality videos on YouTube, but we need to show, efforts from different levels.
I mean, that's goes very much for any learning experience you have. If you only show the high success, glossy outcomes, nobody will ever publish their first draft.
Yep.
Yeah. So that goes for videos, that goes for any other thing you do, online or offline. If you only show the high-end success, the people won't, as Alan said, learn what they have never thought they would want to learn.
So I never make very professional videos, so I just make crappy videos for my students, and they get a sense about the quality level.
And Sylvester, what you've described is very much what I do with students in terms of digital storytelling, forcing them into the production mode. But it's two steps, I think, the pieces that you talk about, forcing them into making something, creating something. But the other part is sharing it openly. And that's often the barrier that stops the full kind of depth of the learning.
They don't want to be judged. But we need to encourage people to be more comfortable in terms of peer review and whatnot, because that is how they can actually learn. So if we can create an environment where it's okay to question, it's okay to sort of give feedback on someone else's work, as long as you do it respectfully, type thing. So there is soft skills there they need to learn.
And I link it into the whole notion of affinity spaces in gaming. You know, there are those that are at the center core of that gaming module or that gaming space, and then there are those who just watch what's happening so they can learn. Not everybody has to be the strategic gamer at that moment in time, and share you can still share the space.
Yeah, I remember this is like my own experience, because even though I'm doing a lot of gaming work, but I'm not a gamer myself, because I don't like to sit down and play games for a long period of time. But I spend a lot of time with friends as well as cousins and relatives who play games. So I just sit and watch how engaged they were. So that's one of the that's one of the key examples of why I like to research about the psychology behind games, and why do people like to play games, and how can we unpick the different mechanics and whatnot. And normally it's like, for me, my experience in gaming is different. When I see someone playing games, I will concentrate on the design of the game itself, in terms of where your eyes will transfix, in terms of that you're playing with a video game. The screen, so you don't actually look at anything else. You're only focusing on the action which has been done. So in terms of research, in terms of how can we encourage people to design less, to make it more affordable, and to make it easier for people to create games without thinking about, having to put this wonderful design, like from, one end to the other, but they were focusing on the actual activities that you need to do, and that has to be as interesting as possible, not surroundings.
I think part of the challenge is that people, when they think of games now, they think about the online games and the big ones like WoW or whatever. It goes back, I think, also to what is the definition of games. But I've been involved with some train the trainer, where we don't focus on creating games that can be played over and over and over again, but game-like activities that can be super fun, but also educational, and we learn from them by debriefing them and looking at how they resemble or they reflect life and the working environment, for example, or the learning environment. Once people are actually doing that playfully, they create wonderful things. I mean, they create things that they're able to use to get the messages out, or to the learning to happen. So maybe that's also a difference, is not to design a game, but to design an activity or a playful thing from even or adapt something that is already existing to start with, and
yeah. Design.
I think it's almost more interesting when they don't know it's a game. Like,
yeah.
you make this big announcement, like is this really a game? So you play a little bit about mixing realities. I was also curious, like, it was all not that I ever played it, and I swear I didn't, but Was Pokemon Go big in Europe as it was?
Yeah.
Is it still?
VPN connections to get it early and then play it. Yeah. And I know 2 or 3 people who have played it on 5 continents by now, and they have some kind of badge thing.
Wow.
Apps are so Squarespace.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm the rookie here as a virtual buddy, so just aware of the time. We're almost here, an hour and 5 minutes already. Alan, I mean, we have also the option of going offline and continuing the discussion, or continuing with everybody. What do you think?
I think you should probably let the folks there at OEB get up and mingle. I actually have to eat breakfast pretty soon, but I'll stick around a little bit.
Okay, so I think thank you very much. Thank you, everybody on site and the virtual participants. Thank you for being here in my first ever session.
Awesome. Thanks for taking your lunchtime.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Go to the spa.